a week. That's if U.S. President Donald Trump follows through with his threat to impose a 25% charge on Canadian imports. Now, Trump is also using tariff threats to force other countries to meet his policy demands. The CBC's Richard Madden joins us now live from Washington to explain what we've seen. And part of that is we saw a standoff between the White House and Colombia over deportations, and it seems Trump got his way. Let's dig into that.
Yeah, you sure did. Good morning to you. And it's been a wild 24 hours and a very public showdown between President Trump and the president of Colombia, as you noted. The Colombian president initially refused to accept deported migrants from the U.S. returning to their home country, and both countries began threatening tariffs against each other until a late-night deal was reached. And the White House is now declaring victory, releasing a statement late last night. I'm going to read part of it to you. It says, President Trump will continue to fiercely protect our nation's sovereignty, and he expects all other nations of the world to fully cooperate in the accepting the deportation of their citizens illegally present in the United States. Now, all this started over the weekend when Colombia's president turned away 2 military flights of migrants who deported from the U.S. wearing shackles. The president of Colombia took to social media condemning how they were treated. He posted, and I'm quoting here, "A migrant is not a criminal and should be treated with the dignity a human being deserves." Now, that angered Trump, who threatened to slap a whopping 25% tariffs on all Colombian goods coming into the U.S. He also proposed a travel ban for Colombian citizens and revoking visas of Colombian government officials. Now, Colombia's president vowed retaliatory tariffs, and things quickly escalated until they came to an agreement. Now, Colombia is not a major trading partner with the U.S. Steep tariffs would have seen Americans paying more for coffee, flowers, and certain minerals. And while a trade war has been averted for now, this extraordinary public spat may be a preview of how Trump will use tariffs as a weapon against America's neighbors and allies as part of his immigration crackdown. Take a listen.
Of course, the United States can impose for a short term tariffs on the imports from Colombia, and this is going to be devastating for the country. So it's an instrument to pressure this nation in any single form. And this is also a sign to other countries, particularly a sign to Mexico, because there are more things that the United States were going to negotiate with Mexico, particularly in the in immigration.
So Trump using tariffs to get his way. You noted off the top of these potential tariffs the U.S. might slap on Canada and Mexico as early as February 1st over Trump's concerns on immigration. So we're standing by to see if he follows through with that. Now, speaking of these deportations, Brazil has also joined Colombia's criticism on how the Trump administration treats repatriated migrants on deportation flights. Brazil calls it degrading, saying migrants wore handcuffs, chains, and the flight had no air conditioning. They say Brazilian authorities say they found 88 handcuffed deportees on a U.S. flight that mistakenly landed in a different city than its intended destination.
Now, meanwhile, Richard, the Trump administration officials are pushing ahead also with the arrests of more undocumented migrants. What's the latest on that front?
Yeah, Trump following through on his signature campaign threat, and this crackdown is intensifying with nearly 1,000 arrests yesterday alone, reportedly in Atlanta, Los Angeles, Chicago, the Denver area, and Austin, Texas. And those deportations are roughly 3 times more than the daily average. Now, these deportations has reportedly cast a chill on many immigrant communities in cities across the country. They say they're feeling the consequences. While many are reportedly scared to leave the house, show up to work, others are feeling racially targeted. But the White House says agents are prioritizing deporting criminals, and they're just getting started. Watch.
See the number steadily increase, the number of arrests nationwide as we open up the aperture. Right now it's concentrating public safety threats, national security threats. That's a smaller population. So we're going to do this on priority base, as President Trump's promised, but as that aperture opens, there'll be more arrests nationwide. If you're in the country illegally, you're on the table.
Well, let me start by being clear that when we're talking about violent criminals who've been convicted and who are undocumented, we don't want them in our state. We want them out of the country. What they're also doing, though, and it's quite disturbing, is they're going after people who are law-abiding, who are holding down jobs, who have families here, who may have been here for a decade or 2 decades, and they're often our neighbors and our friends. And why are we going after them?
No, officials, there are reports already that officials have told ICE agents, those enforcement agents, to wear their identifying logo when they launch these deportation raids. So any photos of them will be spread on social media to get their message across of these deportations. Now, the Washington Post is also reporting that the Trump administration wants to boost the number of arrests, and they've issued quotas to agents ranging from 1,200 to 1,500 arrests per day.
Incredible. Okay.
So yeah, man, Trump, he's not playing around with his mass protection. He's doing it swiftly and quickly, and he's not playing around with it. Go ahead, Hakeem. Man, what's your take? Where Trump is, when he said he was going to do a mass protection, he was going to do a mass protection, and he's being serious about it.
I apologize. I sympathize with people. If you're in this country illegally, you can't be here. And it's tough for me to say that.
I don't know what exactly I don't know why people don't understand that. But go ahead.
No, you said it right. It's tough for me to say that because we have to be very careful. But the American people voted for this. There was a bunch of things happening. We need to get this thing under wraps. The gates are closed now. Try to find the right way to come here. If it takes you 10, 15 years, so be it. And I want people to understand that. And I want that if you here illegally, you're a criminal. There's no first class going back home. There's no creme brulee. There's no tuna sandwiches. We sending you back the way you came. That's it.
Exactly. I want to say I don't know why people fail to realize that under Biden, the old administration team, the amount of illegal immigrants flood through this country. And remember, people was upset like they taking our jobs, they taking the apartments, they taking this, they taking that. Now when you have a president that's actually doing a job, I'm not gonna lie, I think he's doing a phenomenal job because he said he was gonna do what he said he was gonna do. He's gonna make sure to get these illegals out of here. Now, I do have a problem with ICE going to people's job that if they're working class citizen, to me they shouldn't be deported because they're actually doing something. I'm talking about those are the ones I'm really focused on the most is the criminals, people that have criminal background coming into these cities, polluting some people's communities like New York, Chicago, California, Texas with crimes. And Mama Hakeem, Hakeem and Jordan, we did stories where there was an immigrant money stealing people's cell phone in New York.
Yeah.
So don't you want your community safe? So you have a president that's actually doing a job, but the working class citizen, that's the only thing I think ICE need to fall back from. That's why they say they're wearing the badges and stuff like that. But if you're in this country, like you said, Hakeem, you're in this country illegally, you got to go back. I guarantee you, if Canada, Russia, and all these other countries don't have a problem doing it, why is it an issue when the U.S. does it? That to me, that's the biasness when it comes to that. Go right ahead, Jordan.
Well, I say this, the old sayings, America is the land of the free. And I think there's some Michael's anger take it literally. Since it's free, I could bring my illegal tail and come over here. But it doesn't work like that. And ever since Trump was elected back in November, and he was saying he will do mass deportation, and that should tell you it's like, okay, if he said he's going to do that, you should be better prepared by the time he was got elected to the time he was inaugurated, that if he was going to do it, he said he was going to do. Trump's not playing around. We saw this in his first term. When his first term, he said he was going to do a couple of things. Once he got inaugurated, he started doing it immediately. Trump is not playing around, people. And he's doing it with a swift. I also was hearing rumors that, there's people would try to call out, kids in schools and say, and say, they don't speak, English, they speak Spanish, and they believe that, these kids might be here illegal families. That I'm not cool with. I'm not cool with that, going to schools and everything. I like I said, when it comes to criminals, get them out immediately. They're not supposed to be here. You came in illegally. And be causing problems and everything. And I'm also hearing that, with people, that's working, it's going to start, hurting our economy and everything. And also, people that work illegally in farms and everything, they say it's going to hurt our economy, which that's not true. because if you look at it, how these farmers pay these migrants to work and everything, they pay them pennies.
Yeah, under the table, correct.
They pay under the table, and the thing is, it's like once the ISIS get the illegals out of here, and the thing about the farmers, farmers have no choice but to pay people to work with them. They have to pay what it needs to be paid, and what ISIS, like I said, what Donald Trump and ISIS is doing, they're trying to protect this nation of people that's coming here illegally, especially criminals, of taking them back where they're supposed to be at, so they won't, for the safer of our country and everything. They are not done. This is going to continue to do around these cities, everywhere from New York, where I'm at, where Hakeem's at, Ronnie's at, when the Midwest and everything, they're not stopping. And right, I'm very surprised how many people they got already, and they still counting. So people that's in here illegally, I would say this: work on a plan and see what you're gonna do, because if you're here illegally, the best way for you is you either go by yourself, you either take yourself, go back to your country. If you don't, ISIS will do the job for you, and they'll have a plane for you and ship you back to the country.
And not only that, but under Joe Biden, they say on July 1st of 2023, 2.8 million illegal immigrants came into this country. So just imagine under Biden's administration, how many more 2.8 million people was allowed into this country illegally. I'm telling you, a lot of Americans don't have a problem with what Trump is doing. They only have a problem with what he's doing when it comes to working class immigrants. Like if they're working class, they shouldn't be getting deported because they actually benefit in the United States by doing certain jobs and certain chores and stuff like that. So